We asked for you guys' bold takes. We got some voicemails. We love to hear your voicemails. We try to feature them in the show. Call our voicemail line at 316-462-9852. I like hearing from you guys. It brings some of you to life. It makes my concerns for some of you even more grounded in reality. Of course, our guy, Sad Husker Nate. We've heard from him a lot. Sad Husker Nate is optimistic Husker Nate, but somewhat not even as optimistic as his dad, who believe that the Huskers will win 10 games this year. We'll see about that. But Sad Husker Nate, what was your bold take for us?
Hey guys, this is Sad Husker Nate. You said to leave some bold hot takes, and I've got 3 for you. Okay, hot take number 1, Huskers finish 8-4. Hot take number 2, I think Air Force rebounds and wins the Commanders-in-Chief trophy. Hot take number 3, Fran Brown becomes, whether it's official or not, in all of our eyes, Coach of the Year. I looked at their schedule. It's the opposite of Nebraska's. Yikes. And I still think he is going to lead them to a phenomenal record. Maybe not an ACC championship, but Fran Brown, Coach of the Year. Again. Later, guys.
Nice. Sad Husker Nate. I'm sure he's even sadder Husker Nate over no spring game, which is one of the bigger tradition. Like Nebraska takes that as seriously as about anybody. Nebraska, I don't know how big of a take this is because Nebraska's over-under for this year is only 7.5. Yeah. But we do have Mr. Dylan Raiola, who one of my favorite tweets from the Super Bowl was seeing if Dylan Raiola was going to start modeling everything he did after Jalen Hurts. Maybe. I can't rule it out. Chris, how do we feel about Sad Husker Nate's little triumvirate of takes here?
So, yeah, 8-5, I mean, like, I feel like that's the expectation, right? I feel like that one's not as much of a bold take. The schedule is not bad. They do avoid Ohio State, but they do have to go to Penn State. They get Michigan at home. Non-conference is very simple. I see 8 wins on that schedule pretty easily, maybe even more. So I think Nebraska should be pretty solid next year. Air Force is interesting. Air Force completely fell off the map this year for people who don't pay attention.
Yeah, they were very bad.
Mm-hmm. They are usually they're usually like a 10-win team most years, and they went, I want to say 5-7. They rallied. They finished the year with 4 straight wins. That's right. But they had started off terribly. So maybe they found something there. Service academies are weird because you can't redshirt guys. You can't add transfers. It's kind of what you got. But I think I don't know about winning the CNC because I think Navy's going to be really good. They're bringing most of their team back. Blake Horvath, the quarterback. So that one's bold. Air Force winning the CNC is bold. Fran Brown, National Coach of the Year? I guess it depends. Do we know who their quarterback's going to be?
You win some of these games. I believe they brought in a transfer. He mentioned the schedule. The schedule is crazy. So first off,
I was in a different tab. Sorry. Yeah, throw to Damien for Syracuse.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'll just start over. I'll go Syracuse. Dame, what do you think? And you can just cut what I was saying. I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Syracuse, Fran Brown, Coach of the Year. Dame, what do you think of that?
I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with how this offense develops without Kyle McCord. They also lose their top receiver last year. Let me look at his name, Jackson Meeks. So they're definitely going to have to rebuild on offense. But I think the ACC is definitely going to be more competitive this year. Obviously, Carson Beck goes to Miami. Bill Belichick is at North Carolina. We've talked about Brent Key, what he's doing at Georgia Tech. So I definitely think the opportunity is there. If he can continue to have success at Syracuse after losing Kyle McCord, I think that Fran Brown can be a household name in the coaching tree or the coaching carousel in all of college football.
I'm trying to get up to Syracuse this offseason. He mentioned the schedule. Yeah. They start with Tennessee and Atlanta, which that's going to be 80% Tennessee fans. At Clemson, at SMU, at Georgia Tech, North Carolina at home, at Miami, at Notre Dame.
That's not all the games.
That's not all the games, but those are like that's. But
the opportunity's there though. The opportunity's there for Fran Brown.
I mean, the opportunity's there. The opportunity is also there to go 6-6. You got to be careful. Like that's a tough schedule. I think they're one of those teams that like could be better and have a worse record just because I believe in Fran Brown as a program builder, and it's tough. I mean, obviously, winning 10 games, I think that was the second time they won 10 games in like a couple decades. It's been pretty impressive for them in year one. But Coach of the Year, I don't know that the schedule is going to allow that for our guy. Next up, we got a voicemail from Kevin from Bradenton, Florida.
Hi, this is Kevin from Bradenton, Florida. My hot take is Miami's going to finally win the ACC after 20 billion years being in the conference. The defense is going to be much improved. So, Damien, quit hating.
Am I known as a universal hater now? Or do I just keep it too real on here? I don't know.
Maybe. Listen, one thing that I think could help Miami in their search for capturing the ACC title, I mean, I think you start with bringing back the turnover chain. Okay, you start there. Once that happens, I think you look at the coordinators. Like, the Corey Heatherman thing. Like, we'll see. Like, I just don't know that I trust. I don't know that I trust Mario Cristobal in the game management, which you're going to be in close games. You got to do that. Carson Beck goes from an offense that didn't have a ton of weapons to an offense that doesn't necessarily have a ton of weapons. That's a question mark.
And he's coming off a major injury.
Yeah. And he's
going to miss spring.
It's only the elbow on his throwing arm. It's not like a big deal or anything. I'm sure.
And let's not forget how Carson Beck played last year when he was fully healthy.
He wasn't exactly a world beater. So, I'm kind of soft on Miami next year. I don't know that I see them winning the ACC. Sorry, Kevin.
I will say the non-conference schedule, they do have Notre Dame week 1 and Florida, which would be tough, but that's non-conference. ACC, you're avoiding Clemson. You're avoiding Georgia Tech, who beat you. You're getting Syracuse at home. Like, you're getting Louisville at home. Like, it's not bad.
The problem with Miami is, okay, this goes back to what we were talking about, and maybe this is just haterade. Chris, how many games, when you look at Miami's schedule, do you trust that there is a 0% chance that they lose that game? There's not very many.
Bethune-Cookman, and that's
Bethune-Cookman might be the only one. And I just that's the issue with Miami is I just don't trust them to show up every single week. And then if you get in tight games and God forbid you got a 4-point lead or whatever with 30 seconds left and your opponent has no timeouts, that you're not going to find a way to lose that game. Alma Otter says Ohio State pulls a 2024 Michigan by beating their major rival but ending up at 8-5 at the end of the season. I don't know about this one. Dame, how do you feel about this?
Can I ask you guys, like, maybe I'm the only one that might think this, but I don't even think Ohio State plays enough good teams to go 8-5. I mean, the only good teams I see on their schedule, Texas, Penn State, Michigan, obviously because of what they've been dealing with. Obviously, they got Bryce Underwood. But at the end of the day, Ohio State, they don't have enough good teams scheduled to even go 8-5. So, I mean, I'm kind of out on this thing. I think that I will say, me and Chris did an episode where we talked about Matt Patricia being signed as the defensive coordinator. We'll see how that goes, but I don't worry about Ohio State having the talent to beat majority of the teams that they should beat.
Yeah, it's going to be a rebuilding year for them, but the floor seems pretty high. Like, even if you got Texas out of conference, you got them at home. I don't know.
The thing about Ohio State, and you may not realize this, David, as someone who didn't kind of grow up in the Big Ten, Ohio State is never bad. Like, never. Yes, they went 6-7.
That used to be true about Oklahoma, Chris.
It's basically Oklahoma because yes, they went 6-7. The Luke Fickell year, when the tattoo game and they lost Terrell Pryor and all that stuff. Like that was a weird year. But other than that, could you tell me the last time Ohio State had a losing season? What would you guess? 88.
So I was 1 year old.
Before I was born. This program is never bad, and they are still one of the most talented teams in the country. And to Dame's point, yes, I do think they could take a step back. I could see like a 9-3, like depending on how the quarterback situation shakes out. But
and if Penn State can be,
I don't
what we think.
I don't see it being, hey, we can't throw a forward pass, like Michigan was this year.
Michigan was unwatchable for much of the year, and then them being unwatchable only made the Ohio State-Alabama 1-2 punch even funnier. Michigan, tough watch all season long. Lurky McLurk says Florida State doubles their win total. Did they finish at 2-10? So if we're talking about 4 wins here.
They finished at 2-10. They did not win a game in the ACC. I'm sorry. No, they did win a game. They beat Cal. Cal was the one win. The other
We'll all be.
was an FCS team. Who was it? They beat Cal and they beat Charleston Southern. Yeah,
That's right. They beat Cal like mid-season. They were like the igniting force for the Calgorithms' death there mid-season. That was a tough run for the Bears.
Yeah. So here are some games that Florida State could win. By the way, Florida State hosts Alabama week 1. I totally forgot that was on the schedule. We should do an episode. We should do an episode pretty soon of our favorite week 1 games because week
crazy.
1 is loaded next year. But so here are the games on Florida State's schedule. East Texas A&M, that'll be a win. Kent State, that'll be a win. So you've already equaled that. So who else could they beat? Stanford on the road, maybe, probably, but Stanford beat Louisville. Virginia on the road.
On the road.
Maybe. The rest of the schedule, you got Wake Forest.
Rebooted Wake at home.
Yeah. I mean, you win 2 of those 3 games, you're already at double the win total. I can't believe we're saying this for a team that was 13-0 2 years ago. Yes, I do think Florida State is going to be a lot better. I think last year.
Yeah.
I think I do believe that the being left out of the playoff the year prior kind of carried over to the next season. Like it felt like that just brought everything down, and now you've kind of got that out of your system. Is it a hot take that Florida State? Hot take that Florida State wins 4 games.
Kinda.
Yeah.
They added Thomas Castellanos from BC. They had 16 more transfers. That guy. Squirrel White from Tennessee. Deuce Robinson from USC. I remember sitting on this pod, and we were in like week 4 and talking about like Florida State doesn't do anything well. But even then, I was thinking like, I don't know, 6-7 wins. And like they truly didn't do anything well. They did everything bad, and that's hard to believe. I do think, funny as it is, Castellanos is probably an upgrade from DJU.
That was literally going to be exactly what I.
Oh yeah,
literally exactly. But
minds,
I want to get both of your opinion on Thomas Castellanos. Just give me your honest opinion.
I think if you can play well and you can be a good teammate in the spring, I think the guys who weren't there for the BC thing will sort of let it slide. And I think if it goes sideways on you or the team sees things they don't like in the spring and he doesn't win over the locker room, I think that stuff could get relevant in a hurry. I think it's a results business. If you're playing well, nobody's going to care. If you don't play well, I think that stuff gets man, did you hear what that kid did at BC? Like, I think that kind of stuff could happen.
So for people who don't remember, he got benched and then basically quit the team and went in the portal, which is wild. Like it's wild for a starter and a starting quarterback to do that in like the middle of the season.
Late in the season, did not protect a year of eligibility. Like if you do that to like get a redshirt year, that sucks, but at least it makes sense. It feels like a middle finger to your teammates when you do it, and you're not gaining anything from it, basically.
I know the quarterback portal market was not great, but the fact that Florida State felt like, that's the guy we're going to hitch our wagon to, like
the guy that BC benched. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So again, Ubben, I will go back to your question. How big of an upgrade is this from DJU?
Not a big one, but I mean, it might be a little bit of one, which on paper you wouldn't think, but I think in reality, I think that's going to be the case.
Time will tell. I will also say, Ubben, just because being in those locker rooms, I can tell you, even if he does play well, there are going to be a lot of guys that are like, okay, but what happens as soon as he starts playing bad? Is he going to give us the middle finger too?
Yeah. There was a lot of bad play, and there's a lot of losable games for Florida State. I sense some adversity in their future, not to steal one of our favorite tropes, but I think that could be happening.